The state Senate debated Senate Bill 324 this week, a bill that would create uniform hours for early in-person absentee voting across Wisconsin. During Governor Walker's recall election and President Obama's re-election in 2012, the cities of Milwaukee and Madison kept the clerk's office open later in the evening and on weekends to accept absentee ballots. Some legislators heard from constituents that it was unfair that only a small number of municipalities had extended hours. SB 324 would allow locals to offer early voting from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday, the 2 weeks prior to Election Day, for a total of 45 hours. During debate on the Senate floor, Democrats opposed to the bill cranked up the rhetoric to make their point.
We can't do a cookie-cutter thing up here, Mr. President, for every community in Wisconsin. It's unfair of you to do it. It reeks of Jim Crow and backwards thinking and politics.
We're trying to defend the rights of citizens to vote. My God! Look what's happening in Crimea, Mr. President. This is a day in which Putin would be proud of. This is his version of democracy. You take over a country, you scare the hell out of people, you bully them, you demand an election, and you deprive people of the right to vote. Tell me the difference.
Republicans, however, argued the bill would create statewide uniformity and fairness for early voting.
I don't know how many times during this period of time before an election, typically a statewide election, where I have constituents approach me and they say, "Fitz, what's going on? How come every time I turn on the TV, I see that there's a long line of people in Milwaukee County voting? I can't vote. I can't go down to the town of Kleiman right now because there's nobody there. There's nobody at the town hall. Nobody. But yet, there's people voting in Milwaukee up until midnight sometimes."
Before we have a permanent situation in which we have two classes of citizens in this state, people who live in an area in which they have polls open 60 or 70 hours a week, and people who live in areas in which they have early voting 4 or 5 hours a week, I think it's time to make it uniform as soon as we can. Doesn't restrict anybody's voting. You know very well if you want to vote absentee by mail, that's still available to anybody and much more available than it was 15 years ago. You can still obviously vote the day of the election at the polls.
After hours of debate on Tuesday, Democrats blocked final passage through procedural rules. The Senate came back Wednesday morning and passed the bill on a 17-16 vote. For the MacIver Institute, I'm Nick Novak.